Guys, this channel is Mr. Biscuit Speaks. Like, subscribe, kick your shoes off, and have a seat. Right over there. That seat right there. Guys, we're going through Tool. I'm starting a Tool playlist. I'm listening to a song called Vicarious just because it was recommended by a Tool fan that appreciated the breakdown on the other one. I've also heeded the advice of the Tool fan, the majority of the Tool fans that reacted to my last video, who said, listen, do not try to interpret their art, and especially don't try to interpret their art alongside the lyrics. Listen to the lyrics on their own or listen to the art on its own. So that gives my mind a break, frees up some free energy. Let's go through this one, guys. We're going to try to look for insights and see what this one is about. Guys, you know what I'm starting to notice? And this is only my second Tool track. If you're a Tool fan, leave it in the comments. They don't let it's very difficult for your mind to get a hold of the riff. They're not using a tick, 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 cling, tick, 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 cling, tick, 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 cling. You know, usually when a rock band starts out with a riff, it's like, joom, 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 to where you can kind of get a hang of where things are going. They do this offbeat thing, which is really, really unique, that I very kind of rarely hear. It's like they don't want you to grasp it quite yet. They want you to kind of be in limbo. Guys, when there's nothing being said, there doesn't need to be anything said. A lot of this, and I said this on the Lil Sims reaction, that a lot of times when there's just a large break of just music, your job is to feel. And I get the sense that Tool is very, very, like, they want you not just to be thinking about the concept, but they want your intuition to be working too. And that's what I get from artists who use a lot of space where there's just music and no lyrics. So I'm gonna rewind just a couple of steps to the transition from this part to the aggressive part. Jeez. Man, is Tool always like this? Eye on the TV, because tragedy thrills me. And the song is called Vicarious, which immediately brings to my mind living vicariously through someone, like not having any energy or engagement or excitement in one's life. Guys, the evolutionary pressure in our society is extremely low. I mean, just the fact that you have a roof over your head means that you're safe against most of the elements, whether it's winter, summer, spring. And a lot of times we look at the TV to have any insight into, you know, anything novel happening in the world. We transfix and identify with it. I want to rewind. The TV, 'cause tragedy thrills me, whatever flavor. It's no fun until someone dies. Guys, I am a fan of dystopian fiction and horror. And one of the cognitive science theories about why people love the horror genre is because when you're watching something that's dark, the reason that it thrills you is because you get to experience that cognitively limited state, like high anxiety, high stress, and then be brought into a resolution. So that's what a horror story does. That's what a dystopian literature, a piece of dystopian literature does. That's what tragedy on the news sometimes does. If you're addicted to that kind of, tragedy that you see all over the news, it brings you into a state of high anxiety, and then it resolves it and releases you. So you can go into a state of anxiety in a safe location, which is on your couch. And to some degree, going through that over and over and subjecting yourself to that horror over and over again, it just might make it so that when you experience chaos in the real world, your brain remembers how to get you back to a cognitively available state. So that's at least a theory of why people are addicted to horror. I'm going to rewind this just a couple of steps, guys. These lyrics are super deep. Guys, what I'm noticing about Tool too, and this happened again in the last song, their music is almost louder than their voices. You have to really, really lean in. It's almost like they want to be embodied by the sound. It's kind of a really interesting production whenever I listen to Tool. Guys, we feign sadness. We fake like we're disturbed at this stuff, when in actuality it's fascination. How many of you, besides me, have slowed down when passing an ambulance to see how bloody the scene is, right? What is it that fascinates us about that, right? Guys, it's the intercategorical. Going back to horror, right? When you're watching a horror movie, horror movies usually have some intercategorical monster. What do I mean by intercategorical? It means you take Freddy Krueger, for instance. Is he alive or is he dead? Is he in the dream world or is he in reality? That's a mixture of categories. That's the reason it's so disturbing to us, because human beings want to put things in boxes. We want things to be orderly and categorized. Think about Chucky. Is he a child's play doll or is he a serial killer? That's a category disturbance. Think about zombies. Are they alive? Are they dead? So when we're driving past that ambulance and looking over, right, it's like we get a little hint of the intercategorical. Am I looking at something which is barely alive? Am I looking at someone dead? You get this, there's this fascination where you almost have to slow down and observe. Right. And then, what Tool seems to be saying here, guys, is like, look, it might be okay that you're staring at this, but just be real about it. If this is your fascination, stop pretending that you're not one of the reasons that society is like this. Right. There's a degree to which all of us are responsible for what's projected to us because it sells. Right. I'm going to go back a little bit.
Still like a
because I need to watch things die from a distance. Yeah. Because all of us know that death is coming. And so when we get an opportunity to see a realistic death, it's almost like we identify with it from a safe and repeatable location. I talk about psychedelics. You know, if you've had long interactions with Tool, a lot of his fan base have done some kind of psychedelics. I have too. And on high dose psychedelics, guys, your brain metabolism slows to a crawl. The default mode network in the brain shuts down. I think the task centric network in the brain shuts down. And it's the closest thing neurophysiologically that you can get to being actually brain dead, a high dose psychedelic trip. And yet it's fascinatingly beautiful, the experience that you have. And so when he says, I want to watch these things from a distance, we're so fascinated with going to the edge without going over, right? Guys, let me know in the comments, is this an adaptive fascination we have? Because look, it's pretty novel on the world stage, how scared of death we are, let's say. How whenever someone dies, we immediately put them in an ambulance, we take them to the coroner, we don't want to see them. Right? We very rarely come into contact with death in our society. We're like inside the palace of Siddhartha Gautama, who became Buddha, right? His palace represented modal confusion, right? This is like that being safe is being happy, or having safety is, being happy. Sorry to bloviate a little bit, but man, these lyrics are something else. I'm just going to rewind a little bit, not too much. I need to watch things die from a distance. Vicarious, may I live while the whole world dies. You won't need it to jump. This song is brutally honest, right? There's a part of us that's fascinated with death. And I don't know whether that fascination is necessarily bad. Death is a part of life. We should confront that reality more often than we do. One of the things that I'm starting to love about Tool is the fact that the background is so chaotic, and they know how to foreground the message while backgrounding this chaotic guitar. So the guitar is doing this, just setting this background of chaos, and yet the singer is like, it's just kind of doing this thing. There's this really amazing layered art happening here with their messaging. Why can't we just admit it? Why can't we just admit it? Look, another one of the reasons that it's important to watch people die, even though that sounds like a terrible thing to say. I was able to watch my wife's grandfather in his final hours, and he died gracefully. He was somebody who, a couple of days before he died, would just lean over and nudge you and say, "Don't get old." He was jovial and happy up until his death, and it was important for me to watch and to see for myself, it's possible to transition peacefully, because death is very, very similar to birth in that no one has any idea whatsoever what, if anything, is coming afterwards, right? I have my own beliefs. That'll be for another video, I guess. And I'm going to remind you guys, and you probably already know this because you're Tool fans, but when they just do this guitar riffing for a long period of time, they're wanting you to not think so much, but feel. Feel what the guitar is doing, feel what the rhythm is doing, and feel what the song is doing, right? It's time to shut down the right to left brain, give the left brain a break, the side of yourself that wants to categorize and label, and just listen to what the music is saying by itself. Part vampire, part warrior. The vampire needs what to survive? Blood. And it stays away from the light, right? So he's talking, it seems, about the human condition. There is a part of us which is all of these things. Guys, there's a book recommendation. There's a book called Ordinary Men. And it's a tragic book, but it's also an enlightening one if you allow it to be. It's a book about bakers and shoemakers and people who work in factories and candlestick makers and firemen and policemen, ordinary men becoming Nazis in the 1920s and 30s. How ordinary guys who you would never imagine would have the capacity to shoot someone in the back of the head who's innocent. They just kind of became this thing, and they always had the latent potential to express that kind of aggression. You would just never have thought it in their ordinary days, right? But what Tool seems to be saying is that we have part of this inside of all of us. We're part this, part that, part this, part that. Now listen to all of the parts. Guys, I haven't heard a condemnation of this drive coming from Tool. I'm just hearing a desire that we come out and admit it, right? And stop condemning others for expressing the things that we secretly enjoy. The la 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 is very dark, but it's also dancing to the music of our DNA. To quote Richard Dawkins, he said, "The universe behaves as if it neither knows nor cares. Blind, pitiless indifference," right? Very dark, but very, very apt. says, it's credulous at best, your desire to believe in angels in the hearts of men. I have to disagree here. Because either there are angels in the hearts of men, in which case there are angels in our hearts, or we imagined angels up, in which case there are angels in the hearts of men. Because we had the latent potential or the expressed potential at this point to create or imagine angels, which means that there is that benevolent side within us. It has to be there, right? I don't think that it's full credulity to imagine that some of us are angels. Guys, it hurts listening to this. It really does. I mean, one thing that I love to watch, I personally cannot bear watching human tragedy for very long periods of time. Oh, but I watch it in the animal kingdom for sure. I love watching, cheetahs attack a gazelle. I love watching hyenas versus lions scrap for food. And some of that stuff gets really brutal. And I mean really, really brutal. I don't even necessarily want to get into, some of the things that I watch when it comes to like animal versus, I mean, in the wild, of course. I mean, I'm not just looking up, crazy animal videos. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I love watching, hyenas and lions and all kinds of predators go after, especially insects, guys. Insects get super brutal. You see what the praying mantis does when it catches like a bee or something? It'll like slowly chew through its neck and, while it's alive and just kind of pin it down. So he says, so it is, so it's always been. He seems like he would agree with that Richard Dawkins quote that I mentioned earlier. Post in the comments if you think that that's accurate. Guys, the Tool rabbit hole is absolutely, absolutely bonkers. Listen, guys, this is a theory of comedy. At Wisdom School, we teach Wisdom School every other week at the Hilliard Library here in Spokane. And one of the things that we're going to be discussing in the coming months is what actually constitutes comedy. And one of the theories of comedy was being better off than the next guy. It's not a popular theory, but one of the things that we tend to laugh at is someone else's pain. Kevin Hart had a comedy special called Laugh at My Pain. Who was it? Rodney Dangerfield, a Get No Respect. He always just talks about tragedy. And we all laugh because that's not me. At least that's happening to someone other than me. It makes me giggle that, you're just telling me how worse off you are than I am. And there's something to that. Man, Tool is very, very difficult to digest. But there's a lot of truth and life applicable truth nonetheless in the message. Guys, thanks for coming on this journey with me. Let me know what you think.